From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Bola Tinubu visits Jos, Plateau State, assures residents that government will continue to pursue perpetrators of the recent deadly attack in Agwan-Rokuba and ensure justice is served promptly. FCT Police Command reassures residents of Abuja of adequate security measures to guarantee a safe, peaceful and hitch-free Easter celebration across the nation's capital. African Democratic Congress demands immediate resignation of INEC chairman Joshua Mukwiton, accuses the electoral body of partisanship and actions undermining Nigeria's democracy and electoral integrity. And U.S. President Donald Trump fires Attorney General Pam Bondi, appoints Deputy Todd Blanche as replacement in a major shakeup of Justice Department leadership.
On business, Nigeria targets 10% global palm oil share with plans to create 2 million jobs in sector revamp.
On sports news tonight, Italy's Football Federation President Gabriele Gravina resigns after the four-time champions failed to qualify for the World Cup for a third consecutive time.
From the nation's capital, the Court of Appeal in Abuja dismisses an appeal by the National Broadcasting Commission seeking to overturn a judgment of the Federal High Court, which perpetually restrained it from imposing fines on radio and television stations. We begin tonight with President Bola Tinubu's visit to Plateau State to commiserate with the families affected by the recent deadly attack in Jos, where more than 29 people were killed and several others injured. The visit comes amid renewed calls for lasting peace in the region that has witnessed decades of violence. Our correspondent Percy Dabang reports.
At about 4:50 p.m., the presidential aircraft touched down, marking a solemn visit driven by tragedy.
Very revered traditional rulers, families.
The attack, which occurred on Sunday, left dozens dead and many others injured, reigniting concerns over persistent insecurity in Plateau State. In his address, President Bola Tinubu expressed deep sorrow and assured residents that such violence must not be allowed to continue.
And to you leaders, I've heard this. To the victim, there is nothing I can give you, whether money in billions, but console you and promise you that this experience will not repeat itself.
The president directed security agencies to ensure those responsible are brought to justice and announced plans to deploy surveillance technology to strengthen security.
I thank the men and women of the armed forces, particularly the police, for what they are doing and what they are about to do. You must unearth and find the killers. We are going to install immediately a network of cameras that will help the law enforcement agencies to identify the troublemakers instantly.
During the visit, Governor Caleb Mutfwang introduced grieving families to the president, describing the incident as a setback to the state's peace-building efforts.
Since this event, apart from briefing you, I've also convened a Security Council meeting where we took some very far-reaching decisions that we think, in addition to the support that we're going to get from the armed forces and the Inspector General of Police, that by God's grace, we will win this war against insurgency.
Political leaders at the meeting emphasized unity as the key to ending the crisis.
That were affected by various unfortunate incidences in Plateau State.
The national chairman of the APC, Professor Nantawe Yilwada, also stressed the need for stronger collaboration between communities and security agencies to end the recurring violence.
We are looking forward that this your visit will strengthen the security agencies and also strengthen the relationship between the community and the security agencies to ensure that we stemmed this tide of attack in our communities. Your Excellency, we have the surest assurances from you that this visit will ensure that the security improves, our people are safer, and that even the people who have lost their loved ones will get more comforted.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
As Plateau grapples with yet another tragic episode, expectations remain high that this high-level intervention will translate into concrete actions to restore lasting peace in the state. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the March 29, 2026 attack on residents of Agwanrukuba area in Jos, the Plateau State capital, is the latest in the series of violence that dates back to several years. Our next report highlights the timeline of the crisis, which has rocked the state since 1994.
Plateau State is known as the home of peace and tourism, but the serenity and beauty appear to be fading as the state witnesses unending crisis leading to bloodshed and loss of innocent lives. The crisis rocking the state is a long-standing, recurring conflict which dates back to 1994. It involves ethnic, religious, and resource-based clashes between indigenous groups and settlers, resulting in deaths. The most prominent crises occurred in 2001, 2004, 2008, 2010, and most recently, intensive attacks in 2023 and 2024, particularly in Barkin-Ladi, Bokos, and Mangu. April 1994, early ethnic violence erupted in Jos following a controversial political appointment. 1995, violence broke out between Mangu and Bokos communities over boundary disputes. Many houses and property were lost to the crisis. September 2001, large-scale sectarian crisis in Jos, leaving over 1,000 people dead and the imposition of a 72-hour curfew. May 2004, there was a local government area crisis continued in 2004, and about 700 deaths were recorded. This time it did not stop in Shandam. The crisis spread to Lantang North and Lantang South local government areas. November 2008, over 700 people were reportedly killed in clashes following local government elections in Jos. March 2010, a dispute between Christians and Muslims in the Nasarawa Guam area of Jos North, which later escalated to Jos South local government area, resulted in the death of over 400 people. 2011, the post-election violence led to loss of lives. 2016, there were clashes between farmers and herders in February, July, and September in some parts of the states. Lives and property were lost during the conflicts. September 2017, a clash broke out between the Hausa and Igbo communities. This was followed by a clash between farmers and herders in Riom local government area. March 2020, a conflict between farmers and herders resurged in Riom local government area and lingered through the year. 2021, a series of crises unsettled the state. They include attacks and reprisal among herders and the indigenous people in Bassa local government area, as well as the recurrent clashes between Birom, other local tribes, and Fulanis in Birkin-Ladi, Jos North, and Riom local government areas. 2022, at least 58 people were killed between January and June in 7 violent attacks and counterattacks between farmers and herders in Bassa, Jos North, and Shandam local government areas. 2023, over 400 people were killed in violent attacks and reprisals in Birkin-Ladi, Bokos, and Mangu local government areas. Between 2024 to 2025, pockets of attacks in Mangu and surrounding areas, resulting in significant displacement in over 420 communities. March 2026, late-night attack at Angwan Rukuba, which reportedly claimed over 20 lives. The key drivers of the violence are tension between indigenes and settlers, land ownership, and grazing rights, as well as ethno-religious factors.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has reiterated that Nigeria is a multi-faith nation where peaceful coexistence must be protected at all costs. He stated this when he received a delegation from the Code of Conduct Bureau led by its chairman, Mr. Abdullahi Bello, in his office in Abuja. The minister emphasized that the federal government is intensifying efforts to restore lasting peace in Plateau State following the recent security concerns in the state. And according to him, Nigeria's diversity remains one of its greatest strengths, a responsibility he says the government is not taking lightly.
You are aware what has happened there, the unfortunate situation where some people have taken laws into their hands, and that has resulted in loss of lives and property. The federal government of Nigeria want to reiterate for the 14th time that Nigeria is a multi-faith country, as enshrined in our constitution. There is no attempt by government to favor one religion over the other. We have been operating as one country, irrespective of whatever belief that anybody has. The Constitution of Nigeria guarantees that everyone has the right to practice his or her faith in this country. Of course, you have situations where you have extremists who, in an attempt to force people into their own thinking, have taken up arms and are fighting people who sometimes believe even in their own religion. We have had instances where people are chanting Allah Akbar and they still go to the mosque and kill people. So you wonder what is it that they're actually looking for. At the same time, they also go to the churches and go and kill and maim and injure people, as we have seen happen around this country. This is really very unfortunate. Mr. President frowns at it. Mr. President is deeply saddened by the loss of lives and property.
In part 2, after the break, African Democratic Congress demands immediate resignation of INEC Chairman Josh Amukwito, accusing the electoral body of partisanship and actions undermining Nigeria's democracy and electoral integrity. Please join us again.
Since Nigeria's independence in 1960, we have been building. Beyond homes, we built strong families and even stronger bonds and relationships. Beyond offices, we built foundations for forging Africa's formidable economic powerhouse. Beyond sports facilities, we built the passion of a nation. Together, you and us have built the foundations of yesterday and today. Together, we'll build the next possibilities. Lafarge, a member of Washin, Beyond Buildings.
My Baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go on scanning, but Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp, because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My Baba remember OPay USSD lock, that's star 955 star 131 hash. Baba press and lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My Baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu promised to build a better Nigeria. In education, thousands of students across Nigerian tertiary institutions are benefiting from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, increasing access to higher education for young Nigerians. President Tinubu has paid all inherited allowances owed the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and also renegotiated and signed the ASU-FGN Pact, ending over 16 years of recurring disputes and strikes. A lot is being done to fulfill the promises of President Tinubu to Nigerians. A message from the All Progressives Congress, APC.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. President Bola Tinubu visits Jos, the Plateau state capital, assures residents and government they will continue to pursue perpetrators of the recent deadly attack in Rukuba and ensure justice is served promptly. FCT Command reassures residents of Abuja of adequate security measures to guarantee a safe, peaceful and hate-free Easter celebration across the nation's capital. African Democratic Congress demands immediate resignation of INEC Chairman Josh Amopiton, accuses electoral body of partisanship and actions undermining Nigeria's democracy and electoral integrity. And U.S. President Donald Trump fires Attorney General Pam Bondi, appoints Deputy Tony Vange as replacement in the major shakeup of the Justice Department leadership. We'll continue with security matters now, as the police command of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, has again reassured residents of the nation's capital of robust security measures to ensure a safe and hitch-free Easter celebration. In a show of force, the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Mr. Ishaku Sharu, says the command remains committed to protecting lives and property to ensure that the nation's capital remains safe at all times.
Memories of the recent attack in Jos, Plateau State, remains fresh among many Nigerians, coming just days to the Easter festivities. Determined to deter criminal activities in addition to boosting public confidence, the FCT Police Command embarked on a show of force across strategic areas of the nation's capital. The command maintains that comprehensive security deployments have been put in place to protect lives and property during and after the Easter celebrations.
Part of strategic security plan of the command that can move around and boost the confidence of Nigerians, particularly the Christian people who want to enjoy, because religious activities is part of constitutional rights citizens. They need adequate security. We have done adequate strategic deployment in all the worshiping centers, and if there are event centers that people want to go and enjoy themselves, they will be free to do so. We're not oblivious of the fact that Nigeria also has its own share of insecurity. And the only way to mitigate this and de-escalate it is to go on this show of force.
Flashpoints have also been mapped out with preventive strategies already activated to address potential threats.
You know, we did it during Eid al-Fitr, we did it during Christmas, and we are repeating it this time around. This time around, we are doing it with a whole lot of vigor. The directive is very, very clear. The Inspector General of Police has given directive to all the commissioners of police. The Commissioner of Police, FCT, Mr. CP Ahmed Mohamed Sanusi, has also given this directive from area commanders down to the divisional police officer that they must ensure that there is adequate safety and security in all their enclaves. And which is why we started in earnest. All the raiding has taken place. We have raided all our black spots. And, quite a lot of suspected criminal elements are in our custody.
As the police reiterate their determination to proactively tackle crime and guarantee the safety of all residents throughout the Easter period and beyond, residents are hoping that the police match their promises with action.
We turn our attention to politics now, as the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, has called for the immediate resignation of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Josh Amokwito, citing a loss of confidence in his leadership ahead of the 2027 general election. The call was made by the national chairman of the party, Mr. David Mark, during a World Press Conference in Abuja, which was attended by party leaders including the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023, Mr. Peter Obi, and the leader of the Kwakwansiya movement in Kano, Rabiu Kwakwanso. The briefing follows a decision by INEC to remove the names of Mr. Mark and Mr. Rauf Aregbesola from its official portal as the national chairman and the national secretary of the party, and suspending the recognition of any group of the party pending the resolution of the court cases involving the ADC.
INEC does not have the power to determine for any political party who its leaders should be. That decision was taken on July 29th, 2025, not on September 9th. With its press conference yesterday, INEC has invented a status quo that never existed, because there was no time that the African Democratic Congress, ADC, did not have a fully constituted leadership. What INEC has done is to create a situation that by its own curious logic leaves the ADC without leadership. This certainly cannot be the status quo that the Court of Appeal directed should be preserved. It is an INEC invention that is not known to any Nigerian law. There is only one conclusion that Nigerians can draw from the 1st of April 2026 action taken by INEC. The electoral umpire has taken sides. It can no longer be trusted. As a matter of fact, INEC has acted in contempt of the Court of Appeal and has therefore acted unlawfully. My fellow Democrats, we demand the immediate resignation or sack of the INEC chairman.
Yes.
Professor Amopita and all his national commissioners. We no longer have confidence in them. We are convinced that they are incapable of conducting any credible election.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Meanwhile, the 2023 presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, Mr. Dumebi Kachiku, has described the party's ongoing leadership crisis as a case of political suicide following the decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to withdraw the recognition of its leadership. Addressing a news conference, Mr. Kachiku says the crisis stemmed from the actions taken following the expiration of the tenure of the former national chairman of the party, Mr. Rauf Musu, which he claimed opened the door for external interests to infiltrate the party. He accused the leadership of the party of colluding with the All Progressives Congress to destroy the chances of the ADC at the 2027 general elections.
This group of mostly ex-political office holders who have held sway over the affairs of Nigeria for the last 40 years or more had attempted to register the ADA and then jumped to the SDP before they gate-crashed the ADC in the middle of the night. How do you explain this? Jumping from political party to political party, no ideology, no belief system, standing for nothing and believing only in the notion that power is their birthright. I regret to inform you that the actions of these men have rendered any political aspiration through the ADC a non-starter. For them to come into the ADC knowing that there's no pathway here for them means that there's a conspiracy between these men and the APC to make a fool of us all. This is the only possible explanation. I believe that ultimately the grand plan, what is happening with these people, be it NAFU, be it Rafonsu, be it the so-called coalition, whatever game they are playing, I believe that sooner than later it will all unfold and we'll know what is truly happening.
In the meantime, Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court Abuja has rejected the bid of the leaders of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC in Wuse Ward of the FCT, to bar Senator Reti Kingibe from participating in all activities of the party following her alleged suspension from the party. The judge rather ordered the ward leaders set to be loyal to Minister FCT Nyesom Wike to put the senator on notice to appear in court to join issues with them on their grievances. In a ruling, Justice Lifu held that the discretion in such a request from prohibition from all party activities and in political matters must be exercised judicially and judiciously. The judge says that justice will be met in the case of the plaintiffs only when the side of the defendants is heard on its merit along with that of the plaintiffs. The judge then ordered that Senator Reti Kingibe be served with all court processes by the plaintiffs to prepare her defense, and then fixed April the 20th, 2026 for hearing of all applications in the matter. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has dismissed an appeal by the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, seeking to overturn a judgment of the Federal High Court, which perpetually restrained it from imposing fines on radio and television stations across the country. Justice Oyebiola Oyewumi, who read the lead judgment on behalf of the three-member panel, also set aside the fines levied by the NBC on 45 broadcast stations on March the 1st, 2019, for alleged breaches of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code. The other members of the panel are Justice Abba Mohammed, who presided, and Justice Donatus Okorowa. According to a statement by the Communications Officer of the Media Rights Agenda, the MRA, Mr. Idowu Adewale, the unanimous judgment of the Court of Appeal arose from November 2021 suit instituted by a non-governmental organization against the NBC, challenging its powers to fine the broadcasters. In reaching in its decision today, the Court of Appeal upheld the argument of MRA's lawyer, Mr. Izenwa Anumu, that having failed to challenge the suit at the Federal High Court, the NBC cannot now challenge it at the Court of Appeal, insisting that the NBC's appeal lacked merit and subsequently dismissed it. With this judgment now, MRA has won the first of two appeals between it and the NBC over two judgments of the Federal High Court, presided over by two separate judges, prohibiting the Commission from further imposing fines on broadcast stations. Let's continue now with the nation's capital as we head over to our studios there where Gloria Omezoke is standing by. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Anne. Well, staying with court matters, Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has dismissed a fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by politician and online publisher Mr. Omoyele Sowore against the Department of State Services, its Director General, and Meta Platforms Incorporated. Delivering judgment, Justice Umar resolved the 3 issues identified for determination against Mr. Sowore, declined to grant any of the reliefs sought, and proceeded to dismiss the suit for being without merit. Mr. Sowore had claimed that the decision by Meta Incorporated, acting on the instruction of the DSS and its DG, took down a post he made about President Bola Tinubu being a criminal and deactivated his Facebook account. Mr. Sowore argued that a decision by Meta Incorporated, allegedly acting on the directive of the DSS and its DG to take down his post and deactivate his account without hearing from him, contravened his rights to fair hearing, to freedom of expression, and to associate. In resolving the issue, Justice Umar held that Sowore wrongly made allegations of contravention of his rights to fair hearing against the DSS, its DG, and Meta Platforms Incorporated. Justice Umar insists that it did not amount to violations of his rights to freedom of expression and freedom of association granted under Section 39 and 40 of the Constitution. He also awarded a cost of 1.5 million naira against Mr. Sowore at 500,000 naira to each of the 3 respondents. Well, still in the judiciary, a multi-stakeholders monitoring committee has uncovered lapses in the administration of criminal justice in Benue State following the discovery of over 90 inmates held for years without trial in alleged violation of the administration of criminal justice law. The findings emerged during a validation meeting organized by Clean Foundation with support from the Royal Norwegian Embassy, bringing together security agencies, legal practitioners, and civil society actors. Chairman of the Independent Monitoring Committee, Mrs. Victoria Dao, says the body identified systemic failures during which visits to correctional facilities in Makurdi and Boko in Benue State were made.
Participants from civil society and the media converged for the presentation of a report by the Independent Administration of Criminal Justice Law, Benue State Level Monitoring Committee. The Vice Chairperson of the panel presents the report, lamenting the high rate of inmates awaiting trial. The report notes a high number of inmates with offences ranging 6 months to 1 year sentence, and some of the affected inmates have spent over 2 years in custody, awaiting trial, most times due to lack of legal representation.
Boko Correctional Center is a place where they don't even have one operational vehicle. Most of them is here, no lawyer, no lawyer. And if we look at the years, the number of years they have stayed, by looking at this chart, I can see that most of them have exceeded the time that they are supposed to be in the correctional center.
The chairperson of the panel promises to take up some of the cases before the ACJL Monitoring Committee, which has the state chief judge as a member.
We are the foot soldiers of that committee. That's what we want them to understand. They are made up of they are made up of people of that caliber who we don't expect to go on a day-to-day footwork activity. We will do the footwork. We will find out the information and we'll bring it to them. That's why I say our job is complementary, but we need to make that, we need to visit them to make that clear. Because for me, if I present all this and at a go, a magistrate sitting there can just cancel and say all this, the work is done now, and we can clap our hands for success stories and wait for another round of visits.
The committee is a multi-stakeholder platform established to oversee the implementation of the administration of criminal justice law and address systemic delays in the state's legal system.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria targets 10% global palm oil share with plans to create 2 million jobs in sector revamp. That's on Business News. Please join us again.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. Nigeria's First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, has launched the Community Food Bank Trust Fund, aimed at tackling hunger and malnutrition in the country. At the launch of the program in Abuja, the federal and state governments, as well as corporate organizations, including Dangote Group, pledged to commit a total of over 65 billion naira to the initiative. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Guests, including the wife of the president, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, members of the Federal Executive Council, representatives of state governments, private sector players, development partners, traditional institutions, among others, converge on the State House Conference Center, Abuja, for the launch of the Community Food Bank Trust Fund and inauguration of the Board of Trustees under the National Community Food Bank Program. Malnourishment contributes to nearly half of deaths among children under 5 in Nigeria. An estimated 12 million children under 5 are stunted, and nearly half of the number face chronic undernourishment. The Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, says the Community Food Bank program is designed to address this challenge.
Central to this vision is a simple but powerful truth. Health does not begin in hospitals alone. It begins in our homes, in our communities, and it starts with adequate nutrition. His Excellency, Mr. President, has already approved the special intervention of 17 billion naira through the Social Action Fund that will procure using the community-based procurement platform in each of the wards of our country.
State governments and corporate organizations also pledge support to the program.
The Federal Ministry of Health is submitting about 17 billion, so we will present a counterpart fund that will closely align to what the federal government is donating.
Today, I'm pleased to announce that Aliko Dangote Foundation will commit 20 billion naira in kind support over the next 5 years to the National Community Food Bank Program.
Announcing a personal donation of 500 million naira, the wife of the president, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, notes the urgency of addressing malnutrition in the country.
The Community Food Bank Program was conceived as a deliberate and sustainable response to bringing healthy and nutritious food within the reach of vulnerable children under 6 years old, strengthening community-based nutrition systems, and restore hope where it is most needed.
The First Lady inaugurates the Board of Trustees of the Community Food Bank Trust Fund, tasked to drive this move toward building a strong and effective food bank system that will ensure vulnerable Nigerians across the country are reached with food. From the Presidential Villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Return attention now to Nigeria's power sector, which is undergoing a quiet but significant shift, with the Electricity Act opening the door for states to generate and distribute power independently. Sub-national governments are stepping into roles once dominated by the federal government in a bid to drive economic growth, attract investment, and stabilize electricity supply. From Edo to Abia and Rivers, different models are emerging, each offering lessons on the future of power in Nigeria.
For decades, Nigeria's power sector has been defined by a fragile national grid, prone to collapse, constrained by gas shortages, and unable to meet the demands of a growing economy. But a new chapter is unfolding. Across the country, states are now leveraging reforms to take greater control of their energy future. In Edo State, the government is moving quickly to reposition its power sector. Long plagued by inadequate supply due to transmission and generation constraints, the state is now keying into the Electricity Act to open up the market to private investment. The Commissioner for Power, Paul Usembo, says the reforms are designed to address long-standing inefficiencies in the system.
Edo State took pragmatic steps under the President's administration. In February 2025, His Excellency Senator Monday Ubewodo enacted the Edo State Electricity Law, Within the 1 year of the enactment of our law, till date we've had a groundbreaking ceremony for the 100 megawatts being done by CCTC company. We've had a new disco.
At the heart of this strategy is a 100 megawatt independent power project recently flagged off by Governor Monday Okpeyolo, a move aimed at boosting generation capacity and reducing reliance on the national grid. While some states are still building capacity, Abia State is already offering a glimpse into what decentralized power could look like, as the Aba Integrated Power Project, also known as the Geometric Power Plant, is operating largely outside the instability of the national grid. For businesses in the commercial hub, the difference is clear. Stable electricity supply is driving productivity, supporting small-scale industries and attracting new investments. The managing director of the plant, Ugo Opiegbe, says the model demonstrates the benefits of a decentralized system.
States now have the authority to make laws over power generation, power transmission, power distribution, and so on, power trading even. A lot of states in Nigeria are gradually leveraging that legislation. And in Abia State, for example, they've passed their state's electricity law that created the Abia State Electricity Regulatory Agency, which is ASIRA.
Backing this progress, Governor Alex Ochi has moved to institutionalize reforms, establishing a state electricity regulatory authority to drive long-term energy independence.
Even though we are still discussing, we found a turbine for them in the Netherlands that can generate 155 megawatts of electricity. So my Honorable Commissioner for Power and Public Utilities is in the Netherlands negotiating that. Even though it's a private enterprise, but then we are interested to support them to grow because it is all for us.
The story is more complex in Rivers State, where despite hosting multiple independent power plants, including Afam, Omoku and Transamadi, the state remains vulnerable to national grid disruptions. Power sector expert Innocent Lord Douglas suggests a sector-based approach where specific plans are assigned to serve designated areas.
As a state government, you have the power to do that. Take care of from Rumolumini, Ajip, Mbobolu, and Maitre. Take up that from the grid and negotiate. You now go to on air where you have another IPP. He said, look, this part of Ogoni, Notary is taking some part. It can now go back also in a relationship. He said, okay, this area that you people are residing, where you do business, take a chunk of this community and empower them with their light. You now go back to Afam 5, Afam 2, which is also IPP. I bought her from River State. It's okay, all this from Oyibo. Come back to all these areas. By the time these areas have been allotted to different IPP, you will know that River State will be rich with energy.
Others are pushing for diversification, including the adoption of renewable solutions, such as solar mini-grids.
The state governors that have the resources should be able to do more, not only going into the generation of electricity using gas, but also being able to generate electricity using solar, because solar product is everywhere now, and solar farms can be created to address some of these issues.
Taken together, these stories reflect a broader shift in Nigeria's electricity landscape, from Edo's ambition to Abia's working model and Rivers' untapped potential. The message is clear. The future of power in Nigeria may no longer lie solely in the national grid, but in how effectively states can generate, manage, and distribute electricity within their own borders.
But that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Anne, in Lagos.
Thank you, Gloria. The Nigeria Business Summit 2026 concluded on a strong note today, with Stanbic IBTC Bank reaffirming its commitment to supporting small and medium enterprises in scaling their businesses sustainably. Held over 2 days in Lagos, the conference brought together business leaders, entrepreneurs, and industry experts to explore strategies for growth, scalability, and sector collaboration, while addressing the key opportunities and the challenges shaping Nigeria's evolving business landscape.
Attention shifts to small and medium enterprises on the second and final day of the Nigeria Business Summit 2026, as conversations intensified around powering key sectors, building sustainable SMEs, and unlocking global trade opportunities. Reflecting on the previous day's sessions, Deputy Chief Executive at Stanbic IBTC Bank assures a rewarding engagement.
You're ready to scale within Nigeria, we can support. When you're ready to move cross-border, we can also support, and we welcome you to do so with us. It promises to be very enlightening. We continue to welcome your questions and opportunities to take business further with you.
A key highlight is an engaging masterclass focused on how SMEs can better position themselves to access finance and scale sustainably.
You may be passionate about your idea, you may be passionate about your business, but for you to be able to get financing, there needs to be some organization.
Panel sessions brings together industry leaders and policymakers to explore advancing trends and opportunities, unlocking market access, and scaling female-led enterprises.
The most important thing is to protect your asset as an SME and to have a structured risk management profile done on your assets. And how SME can do this is to get in touch with Stanbic insurance brokers for them to help them to structure their business against all risk.
Stanbic IBTC means business. Choose your partner carefully, and Stanbic IBTC should be that partner.
The summit also features an exhibition of products and services by SMEs in partnership with the bank, creating opportunities for visibility, networking, and business expansion.
Investing in the education of customers, investing in their knowledge, it has an ultimate gain for us and for the customer. Like I said, their success is our success. They scale, they grow with us. Of course, it's also to our benefit.
As the Nigeria Business Summit 2026 draws to a close, the message remains clear. Through collaboration, access to finance, and the right partnerships, SMEs can unlock new levels of growth and competitiveness, both within Nigeria and across global markets.
Staying in the world of business, let's now join Dominic Iwewo to bring us more stories. Over to you, Dominic.
Thank you, Anne. And on business news, the federal government has unveiled an ambitious plan to reposition its palm oil industry, targeting a 10% share of the global market and creating up to 2 million jobs within 6 years. The strategy, presented by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, aims to transform the sector into a major driver of economic growth, spanning food production, manufacturing, and exports. Officials say the plan focuses on boosting yields, expanding cultivation, and modernizing processing infrastructure. The government also plans to support smallholder farmers with improved seedlings, financing, and market access as Nigeria looks to reverse years of decline and regain its position in the global palm oil market. The Central Bank of Nigeria has inaugurated its first Payment Service Providers Committee to drive growth and innovation in the country's fast-growing digital payment sector. The Deputy Governor, Economic Policy at the CBN, Abdullahi Sani, says the committee will unite with key providers and regulators to tackle industry challenges. Mr. Sani adds that the momentum continues into 2026, highlighting the sector's growing role in trade and economic growth. And the domestic equities markets ended Thursday's trading session flat as investors brace for Easter holidays. Ladi Williams has the details.
And just like that, this trading week is over.
and first 2 trading days of April. With markets closed tomorrow for Easter holidays, it was a stalemate today, though, because it was flat at this point, 201,000, not far off from the previous close. Showing, definitely before holidays, we normally get, lower trading volume and value of trade. So investors are pulling back a bit at this point, and then we see that happening. 129 trillion for the market cap. Now look at the gainers now. I'll see Unilever Nigeria PLC, that topped the gains chart there, up about 10%, closing 103 naira 40 kobo. We also see financial services also on the counter there. And, we got that news recently. The parent company announced spinning off and merging its entire food division with McCormick and Company. That's talking about Unilever. So I'm guessing possible business splits in Nigeria. 3 scenarios. Nigeria unit becomes part of the new global food business, maybe local restructuring, or it becomes, a hybrid business here. But for the losers chart, we see John Holt topping there, 9.91% down. So that's it for this trading week. We're still in the green, though.
Thank you, Ladi. Now let's see the snapshot performance for other major global stock markets. And that's it on business news. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Let's now join Simon Puse with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
4, 3, 2, 1.
NASA's Artemis II spacecraft has blasted off and is now orbiting the Earth in the first crewed mission to the moon in half a century.
Humanity's next great voyage begins.
While NASA's Artemis II crew won't make a lunar landing themselves, their mission over the next 10 days will pave the way for the next human footsteps on the moon.
Approaching max Q.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Plateau on. Have you the same?
1 minute 50 seconds of mission elapsed time, standing by for main engine throttle down to 85%.
Here, passengers on a Delta Airlines flight traveling from Costa Rica to Atlanta, catching a glimpse of the rocket taking off. If all goes to plan, the spacecraft will head out of Earth's orbit around midnight GMT. The astronauts on board could travel further from Earth than anyone has ever before.
They're secure and they're in great spirits. We will continue to monitor their health and the status as we move into the next phase of the Artemis II mission. So after a brief 54-year intermission, NASA is back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon.
Iran has warned of broader and crushing attacks in response to Donald Trump's latest threat to hit Iran extremely hard over the coming weeks. A spokesperson for Iran's military says US-Israeli attacks on the country have been insignificant, claiming the two countries have incomplete information about Tehran's military capabilities and equipment. In a national address, Trump told Americans he would finish the job very fast, without setting any timetable for ending the conflict.
In these past 4 weeks, our armed forces have delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories on the battlefield. Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them, terrorist regime they led, are now dead.
At least 13 people have been killed and dozens others wounded by a series of powerful explosions at an ammunitions depot in Burundi's largest city. The army said 57 people, including 3 soldiers, were wounded. Houses and private vehicles were damaged, while military equipment and facilities were destroyed by the blast. The explosions erupted late in the evening, located in the suburb of Musaga, and were caused by an electrical fault, according to the army. Shrapnel and debris were propelled more than 5 kilometers away. Security sources say dozens have died. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake has struck in the Molucca Sea off Indonesia's Ternate Island, killing at least one person. The quake, which struck at 6:48 a.m. local time at a depth of 35 kilometers, sparked tsunami warnings which have since been withdrawn. While the region experiences high levels of seismic activity, some residents say it's one of the strongest earthquakes they have felt in at least the past 6 years. Relatives of the 57 people who died in Greece's worst ever train disaster have crowded into a courtroom demanding justice for the victims. The trial had already been postponed once because of the chaotic start last week. Most of the victims of the crash 3 years ago were students killed when their intercity service from Athens to Thessaloniki smashed head-on into a goods train on the same line near Tempe in the centre of the country. The February 2023 disaster is widely known in Greece as the Tempe crime, with many arguing it encapsulates negligence and corruption at the heart of the state. 36 people are on trial in a case that is expected to hear from 350 witnesses and is set to last years. A man has died near Athens as a storm hits parts of Greece with gale-force winds and flooding, while a Saharan dust storm envelops the island of Crete. Storm Erminio has flooded streets, closed some schools and moored ferries. Meanwhile, some flights were disrupted on Crete after dust from an African storm filled the air, turning the sky red-orange.
Ignition and liftoff.
And Elon Musk's SpaceX is poised to become one of the most valuable publicly traded companies in the world. The company, which manufactures rockets, space exploration technology and Starlink satellites, is currently privately held, but it's made a confidential filing with the US Securities and Exchange Commission for an initial public offering, which would allow shares to be traded in the stock market. The value of SpaceX, once it goes public, is expected to surpass $1 trillion. That would make its eventual stock market debut one of the most financially significant in history.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. The Nigeria Football Federation has inaugurated its Electoral Committee and Electoral Appeals Committee of Elections into its board for the period of 2026 to 2030. NFF President Ibrahim Gusau is charging the committees to discharge their duties credibly. Matthew Bukai, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who spoke on behalf of the committees, is pledging that they will conduct an election that will be a marker for future polls. This year's elections will take place in Lafia, Nasarawa State on September 26. We're fresh from defeating Iran and drawing with Jordan in Turkey. Super Eagles of Nigeria are looking forward to a very exciting summer. They are set for battles against Poland and FIFA World Cup bound Portugal during the window for friendly matches in June. NFF's March agent Jaro Pachon confirmed that the clash with Poland will take place at the Warsaw Stadium on June 3rd, while the clash with Portugal will take place on June 10th. The Super Eagles are also scheduled to defend their crown at this year's Unity Cup tournament in London, taking place from May 26 to 30. The Italian Football Federation has confirmed President Gabriele Gravini has resigned from his role after the Azzurri's latest failure to qualify for the World Cup. Italy will watch a third straight edition of FIFA's flagship tournament from home after suffering a heartbreaking penalty shootout defeat to Bosnia-Herzegovina on Tuesday. They are the first former champions to fail to qualify for 3 consecutive World Cups. In a statement, the Federation said a new president will be chosen on June 22. And that's your sports news tonight. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu today visited Jos, where he assured residents that government will pursue perpetrators of the recent deadly attack in Agwan Rukuba and ensure justice is served promptly. The FCT command reassured residents of Abuja today of adequate security measures to guarantee a safe, peaceful and hitch-free Easter celebration across the nation's capital. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawade. Good night and please stay safe.
You're tuned into the program where we dive excess into the world of showbiz and pop culture. Welcome to Entertainment News on Channels Television. I am Kenny Akiwumi. Coming up on the program, we go behind the scenes of the upcoming stage production, Dear 20-something, the story of Dami. Also, we bring you a candid conversation with filmmaker Uyoyo Abia on a journey, a craft, and a latest musical, Evie. Plus, we hit the cinemas with our newest movie, Peaks. Details of that and more, so please stay with us.